What's up, everybody? Today we are talking about Shoreline Resort PvP, how to survive more raids, and how to just get really good at PvP in there. If you've been playing Tarkov for a while, you know that Shoreline has some of the most extreme opinions on this map. Some people absolutely hate the resort. They hate Shoreline because of the resort. They never want to go. And some people absolutely love it and kind of like live and die by that PvP. I've been on both sides of that coin. I used to hate it and avoid it like the plague, and now it is absolutely one of my favorite maps to go to. I love PvPing in the resort. So the goal here is whether you've been playing for 10 hours or 10,000 hours of Tarkov, if you don't like the resort, if you've avoided the resort, then this is like a ton of just information and tips on how to get better. If you main resort and you've been playing Tarkov for a really long time, you're probably not going to hear any brand new information here. What we're going to do is I'm going to give kind of like general like tips and tricks and things to be aware of at all times while you're in the resort, and then we'll swap over to Map Genie and we'll actually talk about the East Wing, the West Wing, the admin, and like actually specific things you need to know and be aware of. So before we hop in, just as a quick reminder, if you like this video, think about dropping a like or commenting down below. We are getting close to 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube, so every single subscribe helps me out a ton. Additionally, if you want to see me play Escape From Tarkov live on Twitch, I stream all the time. My links will be down below. But to jump right into just some of the tips and tricks here, more than ever in these close quarter spots, right side peaks are huge. Now I've talked in a bunch of videos about how if you peek from the right, if you're looking around the right, you're exposing less of your body to a potential enemy than peeking from the left. So when you're talking about these long hallways, you really don't want to be left side peeking if at all possible, because there's not much else to shoot at, right? We're not talking about woods where you're looking behind a tree and you can kind of get away with a left side peek. We're talking about really tight angles. We're talking about people holding hallways. You're going to want to be exposing the least amount that you possibly can. So this is something to keep in mind all the time. If you're in a room, if you're trapped and you're trapped to a left side peek, then maybe toss a nade and move across the hall to another room to get a right side peek. If you hear somebody coming and you're setting up to like try and drop them quickly, move to the side of the hallway where you can get a right side peek on them. This is really important and will save you a lot more than you think, because you can get back to cover much easier and you're exposing less of your body. Speaking of cover, always stay close to cover. If at all possible, use a table, use debris, use something to cover your legs if possible. You really don't want to get caught either outside the resort or inside the resort in the middle of the hallway. With how stamina works and how you get shot and then you immediately have no stamina, you don't want to be more than like 1 or 2 steps away from cover, preferably always in cover, exposing just a little part of your body. This is going to save you a lot more than you think. Another huge tip is going to be learn the audio. Now, audio in general is pretty frustrating. It's pretty rough in Tarkov, and it's actually kind of really bad in the resort as well. It's a struggle. It's frustrating, but it's still important to learn, because like knowing when somebody's on wood, if you know they're on first floor and you hear that wood sound, then a lot of times you can know that they're in the little connector rooms, and that gives you a ton of good information. If you hear them on broken glass, you can identify exactly where that is. If you hear somebody shoot glass and then jump, all of that stuff, all of these little things can actually give you a lot of information about where they are just by learning the audio, even though it can be frustrating with the directional audio. Additionally, trying to stay on a floor. If you stay on the staircases in between the 2 floors, it becomes exponentially more difficult to figure out where the audio is. So if you're standing between 2 floors and you hear a set of audio, you're not exactly sure if that's of the second floor or the first floor or whatever. So kind of like staying on a floor and then moving all the way up to the next one is going to help you pinpoint those audio cues a little bit better. I would definitely recommend using a smaller gun. It's kind of hard because you never know what spawn you're going to get on Shoreline. So if you run an SMG, you're going to spawn by the beach. And if you run like a bolt action, you're going to spawn at God Spawn right by the resort. But however, if you know that you're going to resort, if you know you're going there for the loot, for the PvP, whatever, I like using smaller guns. I just feel more maneuverable. If I'm using a long barrel M4 with a suppressor, when I'm trying to do really quick peeks around doorways or something like that, you know, the gun being kind of like pushed up against you and then moving back and forth, it just can get really frustrating. And so I like MP7s, P90s, something where I can just like really quickly maneuver around and just put the barrel in somebody's face if I'm pushing them. Another tip is that if you are with a team, you have to strategize. If you're with a team, especially anything above a duo, there's going to be so much footstep audio between you and your team, and you have to know where you are. Come up with clear comms on what the first floor, second floor, third floor are. Knowing the room numbers is huge if you're playing with a squad, being able to say, I'm at 301, I'm at 216, and being able to tell that to your teammate and them know where you are is going to save you guys so much. But you have to strategize on where you want people to be. Always making sure that you're calming if you're switching a floor, maybe having somebody set up. I know there's a lot of loot. People are always going for the loot, but having somebody set up on the first floor so that they can hear if anybody else is pushing in while the other guy or the other few guys loot. Whatever it is, come up with a strategy. If you're just wandering around the resort aimlessly trying to pick up loot, it's going to be really easy for either a solo or another squad to just roll up, especially if they're proficient at the resort, and absolutely mow you guys down. So come up with a strategy. Next, and some of the most important stuff with Shoreline is don't get caught in a room. There's a lot about this. Experienced resort players can kind of trap you and then absolutely just like play you really, really easily. If you aren't quick with your decision making, if you get trapped in a room, the last thing you want to do is give them the audio. You're walking around in a room, you hear people, and you kind of just hunker down. There's so many ways they can do that. They can throw grenades in. They can do the, really quick run by, free look in, get you to shoot, and then peek you. They can just push you because they kind of know where you're going to be if you're in that room. There's a bunch of different things they can do. Experienced players will really, really quickly surround you if they're in a squad. So now, even if you do manage to pick up one kill, the other guy can just push you. That you don't want to get caught. Once again, moving to a right side peek, trying to kind of like, if you hear somebody coming, then try to eliminate one of them first. That's really important. Additionally, balconies, knowing what floor you're on and knowing if you can get out via a balcony. If you're on the second floor of either the east or the west wing and you're in a room and the kind of like balcony door is open, if you take a painkiller, you can jump off that balcony. You're most likely going to fracture both of your legs, but it's a way to get out of that situation. If you're trying to PvP, you can just reset it. You can jump out and then run right back into the resort, go up the stairs and move behind them. But it's a great way to get out of that situation if you feel like you're outnumbered and they're all kind of closing in. At the end of the day, be aggressive with your decision making. You don't necessarily always have to be super aggressive shift Wing everybody. Sometimes there's a time to just get more information, but you kind of need to be aggressive in your decision making. If you want to push, if you want to run. Knowing what you want to do and executing on it quickly is not going to give your enemy nearly as much time to just basically surround you and kind of pin you into a bad location. Push smart. You don't just push, don't just shift W, use your environment, but make that decision and do it. Experienced resort teams just know how to play this place. So you really want to make that decision as quickly as possible. So now what we'll do is I'll pull up Map Genie. You can use any map. I like Map Genie a lot. And we'll try to give you some very specific advice and tips for each of the actual wings. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible. There's tons of nuances and intricacies and things that you pick up on. But these are things that are really, really important to know if you want to be proficient in the resort. Firstly, knowing the spawns for any map, of course, is huge. But knowing the spawns, if you want to resort PvP, gives you a lot of information about when people are going to be there. So these spawns up here in the corner and probably this one right here are considered God spawn. You're going to be able to get to the east wing of the resort first. You're going to be able to basically lock that down if you want. If you're a squad, you can get there, place somebody on the first floor, and you know where the entrances are. You can lock it down. A lot of times these guys, once again, if they're trying to go for the resort, are just going to move up along the edge of the map. You can spawn here by the weather station and just kind of like SJ6 and push in a diagonal line up. Instead of moving around or moving up to jump up the rocks and come in the side here, you can move straight up that way. If you get the kind of path to lighthouse spawns, then that's kind of like God spawn for the west wing. If somebody spawns at the cottages and they SJ6 and they have higher strength and endurance than you, they can potentially get up to the west wing first. So you have to be aware of that. If you're a lower level or kind of a mid-level person and you don't have an SJ6, you get one of the path to lighthouse spawns and you're moving up to the west wing. These guys, you have to be aware that these guys can be there first. Sometimes they'll go up helicopter and go right in. Sometimes they'll go right up these rocks that you're going to be going to. Like I've had this spawn before and ran into a 3-man and we were behind a 3-man moving up to the west wing of the resort. The other thing is knowing the entrances and exits to this whole compound. So on the east side, you can climb up here and there's a broken fence and you can enter this way. You can go up to the helicopter and enter this way. In the back corner of the fence, there's, a hole where you can jump in and enter this way. And then behind the resort, you can enter this way. So knowing where that is. If you get first and you jump up onto the roof, knowing where the spawns are, how close people are most likely going to be, and where people are going to be funneling in. They're going to be at this fence, they're going to be at this fence, or they're going to be coming in by the helicopter. You can know that. On the west side, it's kind of the same thing. You can jump in the fence here, you can go out to the helicopter, or you can jump the fence in the back corner. If you get there first, you hop up on the roof, you know that, you know the spawns, and you kind of know where people are going to be. Now, if we zoom out and then zoom back down to the actual map of the resort itself, I'll try to do as much B-roll as I can here. I'm going to try to go through some tips and tricks of each wing, because believe me, each of the wings, the west wing and the east wing, play very, very, very differently from each other. So we'll take the east wing first. So this is the first floor here. Now, knowing the entrances and exits to the wing allow you to really, really lock it down. If you are in the east wing, if you got there first, then there are only a few ways people can come into the wing. They can come in the two main entrances here, or they can come in via the glass hallway from the admin building. That is it. If we go back up to this, that's the front entrance, just like if you come up on the helicopter. The back entrance right here, if you're just coming from the back end, or if you're in the admin building running down the glass hall. Those are the only ways that you can enter the health resort on the east side. And that gives you a tactical advantage if you're in there first. You can hold these things, or you can just be aware of audio. If you hear somebody coming from the back, you know they can only come in this door or this door. So get to a window, jump up on the roof, get down here into one of these connector rooms and understand where those people are going to be. Knowing where people come in, really, really lock it down. Obviously, people can shoot you from this window, but they can't get in from the east side window. The next really important thing to know is how to traverse each level. How many different ways are there to go up, and how many different ways are there to go down? So on each wing, there are 3 sets of stairs. They're what I call front side, back side, and then I'll call out whatever the wing is. You can call the other one whatever you want. But so, for example, I call this, the front side of the resort. The admin side is the back side of the resort. So what I'll do is I will call this staircase front side stairs, this staircase backside stairs, and then this I'll call east stairs, because we're in the east wing and that is the easternmost part of the wing. So east stairs, front stairs, back stairs. You can call this spiral stairs too, because it's a wider staircase and you go all the way up. Whatever it is, figure it out with your teammates, call it out. Those are the 3 ways to go up vertically of the east wing. Now you'd think that's the same amount of ways to go down, not necessarily. So these kind of like red little areas signify holes in the floor. So if you're on the second floor of the east wing, you can get down to the first floor by hitting any one of the staircases, or by dropping down this hole that's right above the kind of like key with tape room, the Sanitar key with tape room 110. That's also a way to look down on somebody in the key with tape room. You can throw a grenade down there. You can, shoot them down there. That's why you don't want to get caught in this room. There's no balcony. There's no way out. And that's another angle that people can see you from. So knowing that on the east wing, on the second floor, there's a hole, gives you a great opportunity to traverse the map a little bit more. Additionally, if you're on the third floor of the east wing, the same thing. All the way over, kind of like overlooking the sky bridge here, there's another hole, and then you can drop down to the second floor and then immediately move along Skybridge if you want, or move down to the stairwells. The third floor of each wing plays differently as well. The east wing, it says west, but this is the east wing. The east wing third floor, you can traverse the entire thing. You can go from one side to the other on the third floor. You do have a full blockage right here. If you've come up this way and you're running down this hall, you have to go into 315 and then out of 312. So you can get around this, or if you have the keys to 313 and 314. But this is a blockage that you can't jump over. It's important to know that. You're going to have to move around. Right here, there's a blockage as well. This you can jump over, but this, when we go back to audio, this is an important thing to know. You're going to have to make noise. You're going to have to jump over this. So if you're maybe looting 306 because you have that key and you hear people coming up, or you hear people below you, your options are, jump, make noise by walking over this thing, or back up, drop down the hole, and maybe try to get a cheeky angle on them. And then you can also get onto the roof of both wings. So if you go to the east side stairs, the easternmost stairs, you can go all the way up that specific staircase to the roof. The front side stairs and the back side stairs, you can't get roof access. The only other way to get roof access is actually with the metal staircase that sits right around here, kind of by the admin building. the metal stairs on the exterior. So it's on the outside. You can run all the way up to the roof. If you're on the roof, you can run all the way down. It makes a lot of noise. Once again, going back to audio, if you hear metal, one of the only places you're going to hear metal in the resort is if they're running up and down those stairs. But that is 2 ways to get up and down from the roof. The roof is an awesome play a lot of times to either snipe the other roof, snipe people moving in or away from the resort, or even just a way to get out of a situation. If you have people chasing you up to the 3rd floor, instead of running down this long hall, go all the way up to the roof, close the door behind you, try and make it across, and then down the metal stairs. You've probably put so much distance on them that they're confused about where you are. Now, moving over to the west wing, once again, it's very, very different. These wings play very differently. So 1st floor, how do we get in and out? All of the entrances of the east wing are the same. You can come in the front side by the helicopter, the back side by admin, or the glass hallway. Except now on the west wing, there is a broken hole in the wall on the western side. So if you're running into the west wing, from these god spawns, you can jump over the broken fence and then just get right into the west wing on the wall there. This is a west wing only thing. The east side doesn't have it, but understanding this is incredibly important because now there's a 4th entrance or exit to be aware of. It's a little bit harder to lock this down. You do get the audio cue of this room being a wood floor. So if somebody's in there, you can hear the wood. But it's a great entrance because you're right by the west staircase. So you can go in and then straight up if you want. You don't necessarily have to walk all the way down the 1st floor. So knowing that extra entrance is huge. If we go up to the 2nd floor, there's a lot more debris, a lot more things you have to kind of work around. If you move up to the 2nd floor here, you kind of have to zigzag your way around here. There's a lot of cover. You can use this cover to jump up on these tables and take shots down the hallway, or you can just kind of move around and go up. On the 2nd floor here, you have barbed wire jump. This is another audio cue. This is a huge thing to play the 2nd floor of the west wing. You can use that audio cue to know if you hear somebody jump that they moved across. If you kind of understand their position and then you hear that barbed wire, you can know if they're moving this way and jumping across or moving this way and jumping across. If you're trying to push somebody in this area, if you're trying to coordinate attack via your team, you need to understand that you're going to have to make a ton of noise in order to get to this person. So maybe have your teammate throw a grenade or distract or something. On the 2nd floor, right by the sky bridge, is another one of these holes that drops you right down on the west wing by the glass hall to the admin building. So you can just push there. That's another way to get out of a situation if people are pushing you. The 3rd floor of the resort is interesting because there is a lot less ways to traverse it. So if you go up on the west side, there's a huge blockade here. You're going to have to go in and around here. Then you can get access to these rooms, but there's not really any good loot in these rooms. And once you get to this blockade, you actually cannot cross this one. So you can come up this way and kind of make it around, but you can't make it all the way across. So you're going to have to go back down and then across. If you go up to the 3rd floor, kind of on this side, there's tons of good loot in here, 311, 301. There's great loot, good angles, but you're not going to be able to go over here. So if somebody pushes you all the way up to the 3rd floor of the resort here, you're not going to be able to get roof access because the roof access is only on the west side. And you're not going to be able to move along this hallway and get down to these other stairs. So playing these 2 staircases, front and back stairs, are important. And there's 2 holes up on the 3rd floor. This drops you right by Skybridge, and this one drops you right below by this barbed wire jump. Knowing those things is going to save you. These are really important things to know. Same thing as the east wing with the roof access. You can go all the way up the west stairs, or you can go all the way up the exterior stairs and do that either way. The sky bridge is rough. The sky bridge is one of the most butt-puckering runs to make, but it is tactically worth it sometimes. The other way to get from one wing to the other is to drop down and either run all the way around the admin building. You can break the glass for these glass halls, so you can drop down and then run straight across there, or you can run across the sky bridge. There's not a whole lot of cover. It's a rough place to be, but sometimes you push across and it's a really quick way to push an enemy or an enemy team. Another important thing to note, difference about the wings, is that the west wing does have a basement level that's accessible that you can traverse all the way. So you can go via the back stairs or the west stairs. You can go down to the basement, traverse all the way down around the pool, and then come up around somebody else. So the 3rd floor is much more restricted, but now you have a basement, a whole nother level where you can completely flank an enemy, drop down below, move all the way across, and then move up on the other side. Whereas the east wing, you can kind of go down to the basement, but it never lets you actually go in because all of these entrances are blocked off. So knowing the difference between the east and the west wing is huge. They look identical. They look very similar. It's like mirror images of each other, but they play very differently. It's part of the map design that I love, and understanding those little things hopefully helps you be more successful. The admin building is a great fun place to have fun fights too. There's like a bunch of different levels. There's like a mid-level where there's an auditorium. There's an upper level with some loot, and then the kind of main area with the kitchens, and then even a basement. This building really just requires you to run around and learn where each of those levels are. It is important to know that on the top floor, on the east side of the admin building, there is a drop down, one of those holes that puts you right at this glass hall. And on the west side, there's one of the holes that puts you kind of back in the kitchen. Very important to know if you're trying to get away from somebody that's chasing you. But this is just kind of like a whole mess because there's like 4 or 5 different levels. It's really close. It's really like a small building. So just run around here in like an offline raid and learn how to traverse kind of the admin building. There's also like 4 or 5, I think there's like 6 different ways out and in. You can come in the backside on the main level. You can come in the backside in the basement level. You can come in the sides of both. You can shoot out the glass and jump in the glass hallways. You can go straight into the auditorium. There's like 6 or 8 different ways in or out of that building. If you're getting into a fight in here, understanding the layout is really, really important. So this, you're just going to have to run around in an offline raid. But at the end of the day, that is the resort. I really, really hope that this video helped. I hope it gave you some tips and tricks of just things to remember. And then I know this is a little bit of a longer one, but I hope that the actual breakdown of the East Wing versus the West Wing really, really helped you. It's a lot of information, and hopefully this empowers you to absolutely dominate some resort PvP in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you as always for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We are so close to 100,000 subs here on YouTube, so everybody that subscribes really, really helps me out a lot. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch all the time. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord server is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.